Two rolling.
Cut. Sorry. I think West Vancouver kind of chose me.
Ooh.
No, it's the best place in the world.
So it's not a typical 9-to-5 job at all.
It's super busy. Almost 10% of our population in West Vancouver speaks Farsi. The kebabs and the saffron rice and
Yum.
ultimately, why am I here? Why do I do this job? It's because I want to make people's lives better.
Hello everyone. Today we have Marianne Booth with us, the Mayor of West Vancouver. Hi Marianne.
Hello.
Welcome to our show. Thank you for taking the time to join us here today.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Marianne, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who is Marianne and what do you do exactly?
So I was born and raised in the Lower Mainland, and I am a mother of two grown daughters. I am a lawyer by profession, and I've been in politics for about 15 years.
How did you get into politics? Did you have any inspiration?
You know, it's quite interesting because I was in high school, I was on student council, and but I ended up kind of gravitating towards some leadership positions in university, and then I was the chair of the Parent Advisory Council at my daughter's school. And then it was actually a former female mayor of West Vancouver, Pam Goldsmith-Jones, who kept on asking me to run for council. And finally, almost to assuage her, I said, my kids are too little, but I'll run for school board. So she was really someone who nudged me into politics.
So, Marianne, why did you choose West Vancouver?
I think West Vancouver kind of chose me.
Ooh.
No, kind of a romantic story. I didn't grow up in West Vancouver. I've lived here now 30 years. My husband did. And I met him in law school, and our first date was on the seawall of West Vancouver.
How romantic.
And I fell in love with him, and I fell in love with West Vancouver.
Oh, wow.
So that's how I ended up here. I love West Vancouver. I think we have so much going for us. It's the best place in the world, actually. And Persian people come here because it reminds them of Tehran. And with the mountain, I haven't been there, but the mountains and the ocean. The other thing about West Vancouver is that it has a really long and rich history. There's two cities that really do stand out, and they're both capital cities. New Westminster has that same proud history, and West Vancouver has a very proud history.
What is a typical day of a mayor life like?
Well, the good thing about this job is actually I don't have any typical days. And that suits my personality. I like change. I like thinking on my feet. If I could give you kind of what a typical week might look like, I often start the week with a council meeting, and I'm in meetings all day. And then we do an evening council meeting where we really move the business of the district forward. But we'll often have a briefing session on some major emerging issues before that. And I have an agenda review with my staff to get me prepared, just like we're doing now. Often Mondays are super busy, and they can go till 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. So it's a long day. So often Tuesdays, I try to carve out the morning. In the summer, I work in a golf game at Glen Eagles. But in the winter, I just try to take a little bit of time because you're working usually on the weekends to prepare for the Monday meeting. But then in the afternoon, I meet with our city manager. And then I have, one of my favorite parts of the job is meeting with residents. So I meet with a lot of residents. During COVID, I couldn't meet them as much in person. But I also meet with organizations. I'll meet with the Western Residents Association, or I'll meet with the Chamber of Commerce. The middle of the week is often meetings, and then the end of the week is when I'm on Thursdays, once a month, I meet with the police board. So I chair the police board meetings. You know, West Vancouver is really valued for its safety, and people really love the police department. And then Fridays, I often have Metro meetings. So that's where now I can do them by Zoom, but before I was driving to Burnaby, and we often have several hundred pages of reading to prepare for 8 meetings at Metro. So
Wow.
It's super busy. Yeah.
So it's not a typical 9 to 5 job at all.
No.
And you work over the weekends as well. So how long have you been working as the mayor of West Vancouver?
So this is my 3rd year.
What are some of the challenges that you face every day?
Well, in the beginning was just the learning curve was huge. And I also wear a number of different hats as mayor. I'm the chair of the police board. I'm on Metro Vancouver's board, which is the major utility provider for the region. And then I'm the mayor.
That's right. So as you mentioned earlier, there are a lot of Persians who live in West Vancouver. I am one of them as well. So how do you see the Persian community?
Well, Paris, I know that almost 10% of our population in West Vancouver speaks Farsi. And I know a couple words. Merci, which is very easy because it's like merci in French, so merci.
Yeah.
I was fortunate when I was on the school board to be invited to meetings of the Iranian Women's Cultural Society, Persian Women's Cultural Society. And I was just blown away by how smart and engaged and organized these women were, and they wanted to be involved in civic politics, and that was when I was on the school board. So I had a really nice entree into meeting the Persian community. And then since then, I've made an effort to really understand the culture, the art. I go to a lot of celebrations, Persian celebrations, at Kamik, at Centennial Theater, and I have a natural interest in the Far East, the Middle East, and do a lot of reading around that. So I really believe that, the Persian people bring so much and they're very supportive of women in politics. And they are really progressive. So I can see why I can see a pride in their home country, but I also can see a real willingness to participate, get involved, engage, volunteer, share their culture, share their food, share their hospitality. I have several friends that are Persian that are really close friends, and so there's a lot that they bring.
Speaking of the food, have you tried the Persian cuisine?
Yes, many times. And the kebabs and the saffron rice, and I do, I agree. And we're lucky; we have a lot of Persian restaurants in North Van Moor, but West Van as well. There's a few that are really good as well.
So, Marianne, how do you think the residents of West Vancouver can contribute to the city, or even the immigrants?
My experience is that West Vancouver has one of the most engaged citizen groups of any community. When I talk to my colleagues across the region, they're really surprised how many letters we received, how many people come to our council meetings. They used to watch us on Shaw, now they watch us online. So people are really engaged. We've got a very smart community. People have chose to live here. They're very educated, and fortunately that some of them have quite a bit of time that they can invest in the community as far as being engaged. First of all, we have a number of committees, and one of them was, I mentioned, the Neighborhood Character Working Group, where there were 10 citizen members, but they also went out into the community and spoke to people. So we've got over 25 committees that people can apply, and we're always looking for diversity. Why are we looking for it? Because it actually represents the change that's happening in our community. We're a very multicultural community. Sometimes just personal contact, reaching out, coming to council meetings. But what I recommend for people is find something they love. It doesn't have to be an organization that the district sanctions or runs. It can be anything, the library, Some people have a real passion for the library, or helping with the senior center, you know, helping with food, or teaching a course at the senior center, a language course. A Farsi course would be a good one. Actually, I should sign up for that.
Sure, so there are a lot of options to choose from.
We like to kind of go to people, like online. We offer ways that people can participate through surveys or online open houses. So not everybody wants to kind of physically come to City Hall or physically attend, but there are a multitude of ways that people can be engaged.
So what changes and what improvements have you made in West Vancouver?
As part of the governing body, I see we have three major roles. First is hiring our city manager, and during this tenure, and actually my last tenure on council, I was able to participate in hiring a new city manager, and Robert Bartlett is our city manager now. And I really take that job very seriously, because whoever is your city manager, they're your chief administrative officer. So they set the culture and the tone of the organization, and they set the standards and the excellence of the organization. Council and the mayor only have one employee, and that's the CAO. Now, I'm considered as mayor the CEO, the chief executive officer, and my job is to set the vision and then guide the implementation through council and through my CAO. So that's a really important job. And then the second big part of our job is to set our strategic plan. And of course, that's our roadmap. If we have 7 people on council all going in different directions, chaos will happen and we'll never get anything done. And we've just approved an update to our strategic plan with 6 major goals and about 30 objectives, and then we can hand that over to our city manager and to staff, and they say, okay, now we know what the priorities of council are.
So are there any new strategic plans for the new year, 2022?
Yes, quite honestly, the challenges we face and the needs of the community haven't changed that much in 3 years.
Okay.
But and the other element that I didn't mention was probably one of the most important things, is tying that strategic plan to the budget. So we've got to allocate resources, because we have a lot of hopes and dreams for this community, but we can't afford them all. So we have to prioritize. I mean, if you were to ask me sort of what my personal priorities are, the number one is actually housing. And a big part of that is because we don't have the right housing and it's not affordable. And we have 1,700 empty houses that are sitting vacant because they're big and they're not inexpensive. And what we need is more diversity of housing, because not only are we not able to attract young people to live here and our professional workforce, people are leaving because they want to downsize and they don't have anywhere to go. It causes, actually, believe it or not, more traffic congestion, because 75% of the people that work here commute here. They can't afford to live here. And it affects our businesses, and we all know of the staffing challenges that are faced by our businesses and our restaurants, and all of those amenities that we enjoy, they need staff. Of course, the environment, I mean, we're all very concerned about climate change. Social well-being. Ultimately, why am I here? Why do I do this job? It's because I want to make people's lives better, and I want to grow our community, and I want our community to be thriving and be resilient.
I've heard a lot of people asking these questions and talking about this topic. Speaking of the new bylaws that actually they say you cannot construct any Munster houses anymore. Can you tell us a little about that? Why is it the case?
So there's really kind of a couple of things that were the impetus for doing this work. One was, yes, we were getting really large houses. And really large houses actually wouldn't be a problem if people could afford them, or if we had lots of people living in them, but we've had empty houses. What we want wasn't getting built. So my motto in life is make it easy for people to do the right thing. So how do you do that? Well, you often use a carrot and a stick. So the carrot is, If you want to do a coach house or have a secondary suite, garden suite, we'll give you more density. But if you want to just do a single family house, a brand new one, which is starting at like $5 million, we're going to reduce the allowable size of that. We haven't really taken away the density, we've just redistributed it. And by the way, this has been discussed for about 20 years. This is not a new thing in West Vancouver, but we finally actually put a working group together and got some meat on the bones. But there was things like high retaining walls, people building up the ground so that they could get a higher house. And this had negative impacts on the neighborhood and on the character of the neighborhood. But I will say, I am very open to feedback. You often don't know, like I'm not an architect, I'm a lawyer by profession actually, and you don't know what the implications of all these technical changes to the building requirements, what the outcome's gonna be.
So what is the best way to people share their thoughts with you?
Well, in the spring, I've already spoken to our staff, and we'll be actually doing an engagement around getting that feedback so people can share it, or they can also just write me through my assistant and we'll start collating some of these suggestions.
And your final words, anything you'd like to share with the residents of West Vancouver?
Well, I do want to thank you for this opportunity because I really love to connect with all the different groups in the community. I guess my final thoughts are that change is happening. It happens whether we want it to happen or not. And I really believe that local government, municipal government, is where the action is happening. You can have the most impact in your community. It's not just about, garbage and sewer and roads. It's actually about building community and collaborating. It's the century of collaboration. And the other levels of government are looking to us. We're boots on the ground. We know what our needs are. And so it's an exciting place to be. And I have absolute belief that we can meet the community's needs together. And my job is really just to listen and then find that sweet spot, that compromise that everyone can agree to. So this job is about listening, and I'm just really excited when I get an opportunity to talk to different people, and yeah.
I see. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. Again, thank you so much, Marianne, for taking the time and being with us here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paris. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Hot!